The Colorado Avalanche have a 2-1 lead in their series against the St. Louis Blues, but it's not without controversy. Chris Micieli of Locked On Avalanche is here to talk about the Nazem Kadri hit on Jordan Binnington and about a very intense and very good series so far. All that and more coming up on the Locked On NHL podcast.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to the Locked On NHL podcast. So glad you could join us today, and thank you for making Locked On NHL your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. It's my pleasure to welcome back to the show a familiar face to regular listeners and viewers of Locked On NHL, Chris Micieli, the host of Locked On Avalanche and the Thursday co-host of this very program. And Chris, you got a heck of a series on your hand.
Yeah, in more ways than one, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it honestly, up in the first couple games, we're really kind of by the book in terms of this is the playoffs, so we're not going to do kind of silly things to get our teams penalized. And that didn't happen in game 3, but because of the events of game 3, I'm really curious to see where this goes now. I think there has been a flip that was switched, and these two teams don't like each other. They're division rivals, but I think because of everything that happened, it's going to enter into phase 2, which is maybe not so nice territory going forward. We shall see, though. We shall see.
So your thoughts about the hit by Nazem Kadri on Jordan Binnington, and it's been announced that Binnington will not play for the rest of this series, which means that you're going to see a lot of Ville Husso, but your thoughts about the hit and the controversy surrounding it.
So, and I don't want people to think, well, he does a show for the Avalanche, so of course he's going to think it wasn't that big of a deal. It's a complete unfortunate event. The Jordan Binnington has been playing very well for the Blues. He was playing very well in the first game, first 2 games of this series. And what happened was just, I don't want to say it was a fluke thing, but injuries sometimes can be a fluke thing. But we have Nazem Kadri involved, and because it's his name on the back of the uniform, people are going to perk their ears up and immediately go down the road of intentional. And I can't understand how you get there outside of because it's Kadri. If there's any other name on the back of that uniform, we're not talking about this. And because it's him, and because the end result, not only was Binnington didn't come back, is now like you said, we know Binnington is not going to be back for the rest of this series. Now we're going to amplify this into what was the intention? What was the intent? Well, the intent was there was a puck that was freestanding in front of the goal, and he made a play on it. And not only did he make a play on it, Calle Rosen, the defender for the St. Louis Blues, made a play on it. And because of that, it carried both of them into Binnington. But people want to focus on Nazem Kadri and going into Binnington. It's an unfortunate event. And if you want to roll back the game a few minutes, Sam Girard got taken out into the boards earlier by Barbashev. Sam Girard broke his sternum because of that hit, and he is out for the remainder of the playoffs, however long the Avalanche go. So we don't want to talk about that in terms of that was a hard play. But that's okay. And it was a clean hit. It was a very vicious hit, but it was a legal hit. That's okay. But when, a few minutes later, when Kadri's making a hard play on a puck that could potentially be a goal for his team, we want to say that was intentional and dirty, and it's going to follow him around for his entire career. I implore people to go read the article that he wrote for the Players Tribune, which was like a week or 2 ago, where he lays all this out. He doesn't want to be known as this type of player. He's going to be, though. I think he understands that he's going to live with that. But this play right here, if you want to talk about last year against the Blues, and the hit he had on Falk, we can talk about that. And that was a hit to the head. That was kind of a vicious hit. Kadri says he was going for the body, and Falk kind of, went down a little bit with his head, and he got him in the head. We can have that conversation. For this one, it's a hockey play. The dude is that where we're at, where the dude can't make a hard hockey play now, and we're just going to look at it as he's a dirty player. I'm not going there.
Well, I mean, look, in all fairness, to play devil's advocate here, his reputation does precede him. It's not like he's never been accused of borderline or crossing that line before. You mentioned one particular incident. So I understand objectively why people may focus on, again, as you said, because it was his name on the back of the jersey, why that would possibly be the case. How do you see the Blues reacting in Game 4 and beyond as a result of this occurrence?
That's a really good question, Gil, because like I said in the beginning, like, this is the playoffs. You don't want to do things that you would normally do to retaliate in the regular season and potentially hurt your team by doing it. So I don't know. I don't think the Blues can just sit there and just let it happen. So maybe they throw a fourth liner out there to start the game and kind of go after him, but that is hurting your team. I don't know. They're in a tough spot because, like you said, like it has to be addressed on the ice. And unfortunately for Kadri, like, yeah, that's his reputation. And it's unfairly a little bit. I'm not going to say it's completely unfair, but I'm taking these things on individual plays. And for that individual play, it's nowhere near anything that he's done in the past. But and for the Avalanche, with Girard out, now the question is for them too. What are they going to do? They have options, but what is the option? Is the option Jack Johnson, who likely would just step in the event of an injury? But because all of this excess stuff is going on, do they bring in Curtis McDermott just to police the ice in case things do get ramped up a little bit? That could be an option for the Avs. So it's grab your popcorn, because Game 4 is going to be interesting.
And to play again, devil's advocate, my concern is what happens in Game 4 if it's a one-sided game. How, if it's 5-1 with 10 minutes left in this game, all heck could break loose.
You know what? That's probably where it will go. Maybe not right off of opening puck drop. They're looking for Kadri and trying to get some revenge. Maybe that is their answer. Not to say that they're going to play to lose the game. They're not going to do that. No. But you're right. If it does get out of control, and that happens in a normal playoff hockey game. Now there's definitely added incentive. Sorry. If the Avs are well up in this game with a couple minutes left, then I don't think there's any doubt you're going to start seeing some.
Or if the Blues are well up, they could do it also.
I guess you're right. Because as long as they don't want to do anything either way that's suspendable. Maybe just throw some cheap shots in there, whether they're up and down. Yeah, you're probably right on that.
What do the Avalanche have to do to take control of this series right now?
Well, there was a big difference between the style of playing Game 1 against Game 2. Game 1, it was all Avs all day long. And they needed overtime to win that game, but they had 50-some shots on net. And then Game 2, you knew that St. Louis was going to flip the scripts. Like, this was not going to be a one-sided series like it was in round 1 for the Avs against the Predators. So, and then Game 3, the Avs kind of took it back. So this is the chess match of what this series is going to be. But for the Avs, they have to continue to get good goaltending from Darcy Kemper, and they need to attack a little bit more the Blues defenders, because that is the one area where the Blues are lacking in comparison to the Avs. These two teams match up very good, and this is going to be a very long series. And where the Avs have the advantage is their offense and their top six against the Blues defenders. And if they keep just forcing the issue, but the Blues are doing a very good job in creating good gap control. They're not giving them a lot of time and space. The Blues are making it difficult, and Ryan O'Reilly is covering Nathan MacKinnon like a hawk.
Yeah.
So it's tough. It's tough to generate really good scoring chances. They're getting shots on net, but those high danger shots, Avalanche are having a tough time getting to those. So they got to kind of open it up a little bit. Easier said than done.
A lot of chess matches going on inside this series. Chris, why don't you tell our viewers and our listeners where they could find the podcast, where they could find you on social media?
Yeah, follow the show on Twitter, LOPN_Avalanche. We're also on Instagram, Locked On Avalanche, and our YouTube channel. Just search Locked On Avalanche for that and give that a follow and a subscribe. And then I'm only one half of this show. I host it with Kyle Sullivan, and our individual Twitter pages are on our Locked On profile. So go check those out too.
All right, Chris, always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us today.
Anytime, Gil. Thanks, man.
Our partners at BetOnline continue to be the number one source for all your sports betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest odds, news, and sports developments, including this year's basketball playoffs, the Stanley Cup playoffs, Major League Baseball scores, fights, and even next season's NFL futures. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, from live betting, the playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. Bet online, where the game starts.